Welcome to This Week in Poker. WSOP ratings plummet. What can be done to fix it? Jess Wellman gives us this week's big poker headlines, and new UB Poker Stars Team Pro. Liv Boeree joins us in studio. Stay tuned. I was like 10 for 10 on cold intros off the top of my head, and this is the first one I've effed up. We had a good joke and everything.
Liv's face.
She just went. It was actually probably better I screwed that one up. Sorry, John Caldwell and everybody else that we're friends with at Poker Stars. Anyways, back to This Week in Poker. I'm Chops. I'm joined by entities. Colin.
How's it going?
All right. And Brian in the corner.
Greetings.
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 Let's cut to Brian real quick. Say hi, Brian.
Hey, it's the Dash guy.
Yeah. What's up with the stash?
It's Movember.
Are you gonna keep it or are you gonna let it grow out?
I don't know. I don't know if I can make it all the way to the end of the month, but
Now,
I'm
is
going.
this like week, what, 6 for you?
It's very wispy for week 6.
It's since Friday. So
Okay.
I don't look good with it, but it's
So
for
why are you doing it?
men's health awareness.
Okay.
So
Really?
yeah.
All right. I'll just go with it. Not sure if I like the setup.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw it out there. But yeah, we'll go with it. Liv, how you doing?
Very well.
I feel like I gotta cross my legs. Like there's no other way to go about doing this. It's like, all right, we're all crossing our legs. I just feel like I need a scotch and a cigarette and go like old school Johnny Carson style with this. But anyway, how was the NAPT event for you?
It was brief for me personally. Very fun though, and nice to be back out here in the States.
Okay. We'll talk a lot more about the NAPT Los Angeles coming up soon, but first, let's get a scrambling Jess Wellman ready for Poker Headlines. Poker Headlines with Jess. Jess!
You like the stop and go Jess today, basically?
Yeah. We're all off. We didn't even get our big graphic with Poker Headlines with Jess today. What's going on in the poker world this week? I heard somebody won the main event.
Was that this week? That
Feels
was
like it.
a month and a half ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, we were going to have Jonathan on the show today, actually, but not sure what happened. He's probably been reading what we've been writing about him or something.
I called him boring on the poker beat. I didn't mean it. He's a nice kid. I mean, his stories, just one we've heard a lot before.
Yeah. It's not exactly a unique story. So, what's going on in the poker world?
Well, I just got back from seeing Liv in LA. I was at the NAPT this weekend, so that's kind of what's on my mind. They got 700 people, pretty good turnout. They're doing the Bounty Shootout in Compton, California, which is my new favorite poker tournament name. And they are down to 12 in the main event.
Somebody with a sense of humor did that, right?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If it wasn't intentional, I'm going to be disappointed.
Okay.
Main event is still happening at the Bike for one more day. There's 12 left. Chris DeMasi leads. Jason Mercier is second in chips. Michael Binger's still in. Joe Tehan's still in. Ray Henson's still in. And Jake Toole, who is an online poker guy that has done really well online the past year, and this could be his big live breakthrough. They will be moving to Compton tomorrow, though. It is official. They are going to televise this for ESPN, and the way to get around the Bike contract is to move the event to Compton.
Well, and why wouldn't they? And Matt Affleck's still in too, right?
No, he is out.
He busted now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But another deep run for him at another big tournament. He appears to be pretty good at poker.
He might be legit. When I saw him yesterday, he felt good about everything. He said his one worry was he would run into the one guy who runs better than he does. I'm not sure if Jason Mercier took him out, but I am seeing that Jason was doing a lot better than Matt was the last time I looked, and Matt was pretty short all day. So maybe Jason was the one who pulled the trigger.
All right. What else is going on in the poker world?
Well, you guys broke some news this week. Maria Ho, latest UB Poker Pro, announced the day after she was on the show last week?
Yep.
So, congratulations, Maria. Hasn't been signed with people for, I would say, a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and now you've got the Amazing Race teammates synergistically together, so we'll see what UB does with that.
Yeah, it's very strange that they waited a year after she was on the show with Tiffany
Right.
to sign her.
Because nobody would have ever been searching for them
Yeah.
online and
Yeah.
been led to the UB site had they done that. But yes.
I wonder though if it was Maria holding out to get a sponsorship, and maybe UB came calling earlier. I don't
Could've
really
been.
know if maybe it was something like that. But congrats to her either way. While she is getting a sponsorship deal, Peter Eastgate, who has pretty much disaffiliated himself from PokerStars entirely, is slamming the door on poker. In a sense, he is selling his main event bracelet on eBay for charity, not for his own personal gain. And when I last checked, it was going for $16,300, which is $300 more than the minimum bid he had put on the hardware.
And he'll probably get more than Jamie Gold's urinal mint
Yes.
back in 2006, right? Has he always been somewhat of a do-gooder in the sense of giving to charity, or?
I know that he's done some charitable
What a
stuff in the past. I can't remember the.
By the way, I
Exactly.
give to UNICEF, so great organization.
So you're the one who bid $16,300.
Not yet, no.
16.4. He is pretty charitable. I have to say, like, I would think if you are a main event winner of the past 10 years selling your bracelet, if you didn't do it for charity, you would kind of look like a D-bag. That's just me.
But I mean, do you
So-
think the charity came first? I mean, I think when he was interviewed, he said it was just laying around collecting dust. Was it a way to figure out how you could raise money for a charity, or was it just because it's, a bracelet that he's not wearing and wants to get rid of it?
I'm hard-pressed to believe that UNICEF just called him up and was like, yeah, we haven't seen you in the bracelet in a while. You maybe want to sell it on eBay? It feels to me, and not to get like too psychological on him, but that this kid wants nothing to do with the poker industry anymore. So when he decided he didn't want the bracelet, maybe he asked around, what can I do to make the most of the situation? And UNICEF was one that made sense for him to follow through on.
Did he have just a miserable experience within the poker world? I mean, it felt like he was treated pretty well. I think the media treated him okay.
That's the thing is, I mean, I think any world champion is going to have a certain amount of pressure put on them that isn't pleasant. I don't think that Peter liked being in the public eye very much. And as we've seen with these younger guys, they get burnt out. And some of them, like Sean Deeb, think that they're burnt out. They take a couple-month break and they're fine to come back. And then others, I mean, I think Ryan Doubt's a good example of someone who did really well in the poker world and then was just kind of over it. So I think Peter Eastgate's kind of going the Ryan Doubt route where he won the money, he played poker to get money, and now he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Liv, did you ever know Peter?
Not really, no. I met him once or twice.
Okay, so no read on
No,
what the situation
yeah,
was?
one of the sort of few people in poker I'll say I don't really know very well at all.
Yeah, didn't seem like he was overly sociable with the pros.
I wouldn't say he was antisocial either. He seemed like a really nice guy, just kept himself to himself.
All right. Well, we're not going to slam Peter Eastgate then. What else is going on, Jess?
Full Tilt Poker followed in the path of PokerStars. They are no longer serving Washington State residents. So poor Matt Affleck is going to have to go home to UB, I guess, or Cake Network, but the two big ones are out of the state. They are a little more lenient than Stars is, though. They will let people who are residents of Washington playing elsewhere. So, you're visiting your grandma, your friend in California, you can play online as a Washington resident. You just can't within state boundaries.
What do you think took him so long to make that decision to get out when it was pretty clear legally that you should get the hell out?
I mean, I think all the sites were waiting for the state Supreme Court ruling to get through to do anything, because you could justify, it's being tied up in court. You don't really know if it's going to be legal or illegal. And then I think probably lawyers trying to see if there's ways around it, if there's anything they can do. And I think the fact that they are even compromising more than Stars are tells me that they probably put a lot of time into really examining the legal situation before coming to a decision.
Okay. Anything else going on?
We missed it 2 weeks ago, but the Partouche Poker Tour, that big cheating scandal happened. Turns out people within the media were helping to deliver whole card information to one of the players whose name I'm about to butcher, Ali Tekintamgak.
That's actually that's dead on.
That's what you get for cheating. I'm gonna butcher your name. He was disqualified, which I think is a pretty big deal. Having someone disqualified from a major event like that has not happened as far back as I am familiar with. It's been at least since post Moneymaker that we've seen something this big cheating-wise happening. Sounds like they've been doing it at a lot of European events, like WPT Barcelona, EPT Talent are coming up as examples.
So is the same crew, you mean?
And this wasn't
Yeah.
actual media. These were like pretend media, right?
Yeah, these were like minions that
Not that poker's
claim
not
to
full
have
of
a
pretend media.
blog. Well, and the thing is especially in Europe, there are people who are hired to just follow a small site's pros or just follow one person, and they do have a blog and they do post and they do work, but they're not reporters in the like objective poker news bluff card player model.
Because poker news is so objective.
Yes, the peak of objectivity. So they had some sort of blog. There wasn't really a lot of content on it. But really, when you apply for press credentials, as you can see by the fact that they give y'all press credentials, they don't really look at the website all that much.
Touche.
On the bright side, Vanessa Selbst won that event. $1.8 million for her, career score, and yet another ridiculous win in her ridiculous year that she's having.
I think I read somewhere she's won more this year than anybody outside of the last five at the main event.
That wouldn't
Something
surprise
like that.
me. I mean, it would
Does that
probably
make
be
sense?
her,
Yeah.
like Harrison Gimbel, who won PCA. $1.8 million is a pretty big score to match. Liv, how much did you... San Remo, you had to get a fair amount,
That
though.
was 1.65 million, depending on what exchange rate you look at. But no, I mean, hers was 1.8.
And then
then 700 or so for Mohegan Sun as well. So
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, she's at 2.5. Yeah, she was needling me about being above me now in,
Was
the,
she?
in the rankings. Yeah.
Aw. So yeah, more big up to Vanessa. More women doing well. A woman won the APPT Cebu event this week, and her name I don't have, nor am I even gonna. She didn't cheat, so I won't butcher it.
Speaking of
But-
women doing well, you did well, right?
If you call a 7-way chop in a $300 ladies event at the Bicycle Casino well, then yes.
Where does
I
that
did
put
well.
you in the all-time money list for women? Is that like 13th or 14th or?
For women in media, I'm probably top 3. Maybe. But I don't know how. I guess I'm going to say I got 3rd and a half place in the NAPT ladies event, which is going to be my new brag for the next 6 months.
Any men enter?
No, they kind of have a deterrent process. The women who run Lips, who works with Poker Stars, do a really great job. I had a really good time, but they have an invite where you have to secure an invite and register with them, and basically they add a lot of steps in the process to hopefully deter some guys along the way.
All right. Jess, could you stick around for at least part of some of the discussion that we'll be having?
Sure. What are we talking about?
We'll talk a little WSOP ratings.
Oh, that discussion. Sure, absolutely.
That discussion. Before we do that, Brian.
I thought we were talking about The Walking Dead today.
Yeah, we're considering it. But tell our viewers, because I think we might be having a different viewer through Justin TV. I guess a different chat log going right now.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think the old Q and a colon works. So I think keep doing what you're doing. Just there's a lot of conversation going on in the chat room right now.
What are they saying in the chat room?
James DeBeer's talking about his Full Tilt account being locked up. in
Okay.
A lot of
Washington
complaining
State.
about Washington State.
Okay.
Lance is helping people out.
All right.
Bluff.
Okay.
I think
And
they got it.
any,
I'll be paying attention to the chat room.
any sponsor plugs? I know that we're not going to do the VT strategy segment.
No,
this
but
week,
yeah, we Brian Devonshire was supposed to be Skyping in today to go over a Poker After Dark can, but he is stuck in a horse tourney at the bike, so we're not going to be doing that. But you can still go to pokervt.com/sign up and use the TWIP10 promo code to get 25% off activation and check it out. It's worth it.
Okay.
And that's poker VT as in Tom, not VD as in venereal disease, and that's important to know. Just saying.
All right. So let's talk a little WSOP ratings, and then Liv, please take part in this discussion, because we'd love an actual pro who, I don't know how much of the broadcast you actually watch, but a little bit.
I'm English, so they don't show us.
Right. But at least some of your taking feedback, just being part of the
course.
tournament of itself, and then we'll do the interview separately with Liv. So ratings were down 26% this year compared to last year. There was a time slot move. They streamed it all on ESPN 3. But bottom line, down is bad, up is good. And it's a pretty precipitous drop, especially considering that it was running across from Millionaire Matchmaker with Best Shack, which almost pulled the same rating. That's not a good thing. So we wrote a pretty big piece on what they could do to fix it, summarizing some of the big points. Not so much main event. We have the Twitter feed also, the WSOP needs to. That was a big comment on that. Maybe changing up the lineup with Lon and Norman and a bunch of other stuff. Jess, you're in the poker media. What did you think about the suggestions that were coming across the WSOP needs to, plus some of the things that we wrote about?
I think that people are making some valid suggestions. I don't know if booting Lon and Norm out of there is necessarily the best idea, just because I think we're forgetting that the average non-poker enthusiast, casual fan probably enjoys that still, and they aren't used to a little more sophisticated commentary. I think Change 100's comments about how the guys all just really looked the same really hit home, because this year they were the same looking type of people, and they all had basically the same story. I'm an online poker pro. I'm young. I'm a single guy.
What can you do? So, everybody's kind of the same guy. What can you do about that, though?
So we get rid of
Pray
Lon.
to run better. Do casting sessions before you let people play in the main event. I mean, that's the thing is I think that a big problem with this year is just luck of the draw, that we didn't get the most fascinating final table, and the people that ESPN kind of profiled and developed, like Tony Dunst and Matt Affleck, just didn't make it on through to the end. So there wasn't a narrative kind of pushing us through to keep our interest into the final table.
You were on hand during Matt's bust out, though. When you watch that play out on TV, do you think that had the emotional gravity of being there live?
I thought they did a really good job with it, but I think that they were probably even a little more respectful than I expected them to be. I'm the people who didn't see it live. I thought that in person it lasted a little longer. It was a little more brutal, and you didn't get just the chilling silence of everybody watching this guy kind of see his main event's hopes dashed in front of a fairly sizable.
When we saw it live, if you remember that one Simpsons where Lisa breaks up with Chief Wiggum's kid, on live TV, and you can actually literally see his heart being ripped out of his chest. That's what it kind of felt like live, and it didn't quite carry over there. But
and I think we brought up the point too. They don't even. One thing they could do is do exit interviews. They don't do exit interviews. Matt Affleck was doing interviews soon after. I think you talked to him on, you did a podcast, but I mean, he was willing to talk about what happened, and just getting that, just like any sport, you would have that, during the moment, not, weeks later or months later in this case, getting that raw emotion as it happened, I think we're missing out on. And I think it's a good point that's being brought up is, do we treat it, the World Series of Poker, like a sporting event, or is it a reality TV show? And I think it kind of is so in between right now that that's an identity problem that it has. And again, if you're going to treat it more like a reality show, you have to kind of build the villains and the characters and kind of play off the personalities. If you build it up more as a sporting event, you have to have more talk about strategy and take it a little bit seriously, more like the ESPN 3 broadcast.
Right. Yeah, and it seemed like, at least from the hardcore fans, did you watch any of the live stream, Liv?
I tried to. They didn't really stream it in the UK, so.
You couldn't even get the stream of it.
No.
Oh man. The hardcore fans that watched the live stream liked the live stream a lot. They were getting the strategy that I guess you're kind of missing from the Lon Norman broadcasts, and they felt a little bit more insightful. Jess, did you watch a lot of the live stream?
I was there the whole time, so I didn't really get a chance to.
Okay.
I heard really, really good things, though, and I think when we're talking about the ratings, that's the one aspect of it we're not factoring into the equation is, yeah, we lost people watching the television show, but in ESPN's mind, does having a bunch of viewers going to ESPN3 make up for it to some degree?
Yeah, did we ever get the ESPN3 numbers? I mean, was it 500,000 what it needed to be to kind of make up the difference?
I'm not sure. And also, I think on web streaming stuff like that, you can never be terribly accurate with the same way you would be with Nielsen ratings. So hard to tell.
Liv, you watch, I mean, the UK has tons of poker shows. It's probably more than the US, or it has over the years. I mean, do you see things over there that works even with the EPT that would work with the WSOP?
I'm trying to think of the difference. I mean, the trouble is that I can't really compare because I haven't seen what the WSOP,
It's the same thing every year.
Yeah. I mean, I
in
imagine
2004.
it's a very similar format to how they do with the EPT. And I mean, the EPT in Europe is getting really good ratings. I think...
Do they build the personalities during the
They try to. They
broadcast?
definitely do interviews with the players and so on. Yeah, they try to an extent, but not because, I mean, they're always constrained to an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it would help generate a lot more non-poker interest if they do build these, almost in this 3 months that they have. I don't know if they do this, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they know they've got their November 9, they've got these 3 months, why don't they go home, go back to where they're from and see what they do and actually build like some public interest. That's what people like to see, not necessarily, the poker world might go, oh, this is stupid, I don't want to see where he's from, but your average Joe who's watching it might be like, oh, okay, I can now sort of emote with this guy and, feel something for him because I've seen him at home with his kids or, with his mum, and he lives in a small house and now he, I see how much he wants it.
Yeah. The problem with that, though, is it clashes with the weekly broadcast that's supposed to be showing you how it's playing down to the November 9, leading up to the November 9, which on TV it's a week later instead of 4 months later.
But even if they could do like a 3-minute segment on each person and just in one of those episodes and go, oh, I suppose because they can't, No, I see what you mean, because it's.
But I still think that, originally when we were sold on the concept of the November 9, it was ESPN's going to take all this time to promote it, and there might be
make these people big superstars.
If and doing something like that would be perfect for it.
Yeah, I mean, just once they know who the November 9 is and they've aired it, in the meantime they could have been preparing this, and then they can just put out a quick episode and go, okay, so now we know on November 9, this is what they all are. This is him at home. It doesn't have to be a long episode.
Yeah.
Or even as a sort of beginning to the actual November 9, just a 20-minute precursor. These are your guys. This is what they this is where they live. I think that will generate a little bit more interest because people love. I mean, from my experience of poker reality TV, that one I did 5 years ago where I started out. They went home and they came back to our houses and filmed what we did. Right. They got me riding my horse around the field and in a rock club, and then the other guy like weight training, and the other girl with her kids and that sort of thing. And I mean, it did seem to generate a lot of interest. And then people can sort of understand the personalities a bit more, because I think that's what the viewers are complaining about. There are these 9 guys that are just all young online players. Now, chances are we're going to have a lot more of those, because those are generally the guys that make the final table. These statistically now, that seems to be the case. So try and make them a bit more interesting. I mean, these guys are interesting. They're not just hoodies and sunglasses.
Right. One thing we talked about with Ty before the November 9 was even doing separating the heads up from the November 9 and do some type of like 24/7. It's a program on HBO that like anytime there's a big boxing match, they kind of show behind the scenes of the boxers training for the fight. And I think that's I was thinking like with Olympic sports, which generally aren't that compelling, every year, every 4 years they are, but it's really the match. It's not like the 8 runners in the 100-meter sprint that is the focus. It's really like the Tyson Gay versus Usain Bolt. Right. It's really, even when there's other players there, you have to kind of narrow it. I think 9 players, to focus on 9 players and try to make them interesting is tough. I think you have to kind of drill it down.
The 2 or 3 most interesting ones.
Yeah,
you know,
the 2 or 3.
They did still have some big names. You know, they had Michael Mizrachi.
Yeah.
You know, well-known
John
guy.
Raciner is
Yeah,
at least
him,
among the
John Raciner, those guys. I mean, they could do an interesting sort of, you know, personality stories with them.
And we know that it's not just the pros that draw the ratings, because I saw somebody bring it up in the chat about, you know, Phil Ivey last year, but I still think Jerry Yang's year was bigger, right, ratings-wise?
Jerry Yang's year was not bigger. Jerry Yang's year, I think, was bigger than this year.
Okay.
But that was the very first one, so that had that extra hype as well.
That was actually the year before the first one.
Oh,
So
was it?
Eastgate's year. So yeah, Eastgate's year, 2008 was the most watched. Last year came down a little bit, and this year was a pretty big drop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just need a lady to make it the final table.
That's, I mean, I think that's what we say, you know, that is where the next poker boom is from, you know, will come from, is a lady making the final table, which...
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Jess, if you could change one thing, and one thing only, to make the WSOP a better broadcast and maybe bring ratings up, what would you do?
Well, last week I already said I would bring back the nuts segment because I think we've lost some of the fun of the broadcast.
Yep.
I would, but to throw out a new one, I would say that you need to spend more time developing the personalities of the November Niners earlier. As soon as you know, they can't on day one know that they're going to be those people, but try to work them in a little sooner, because I feel like there were too many this year that we just never really got to know.
Yeah, like Matthew Jarvis, who supposedly, even, you know, according to you, really good backstory, but nobody ever really knew it. Not a lot of time was spent to it. But if you had, as we've talked about, taken the camera and followed him home, there's a real human interest story with that guy that you might have actually clung on to and cared about if you were mass audience viewer. So between either that, you know the November 9, so as much footage as you can, either behind the scenes and you know, following them at home or during the tournament, start incorporating that more into the broadcast. I also really like the idea of delaying the heads up and spending some time with at least those 2 people, so you gain a little bit of.
And, you know, I was actually thinking, because we talked about heads up, but what if you delayed where it stopped at 3? Why, you know, why? I mean, it could, because one thing we talked about with heads up, like this year, it would have been not that interesting to see a guy with 180 million or whatever, you know, such an advantage. But if you had 3, at least, you know, you're
hedging your bet a little.
Yeah, and you narrow it down to where, okay, you can develop 3 different characters, and you have that week to kind of tell the backstory, and you know, and have. I think that's the problem, is like people, especially outside of poker, that maybe are a little bit more casual in watching it, they don't really, you know, maybe they know the grinder, but they don't really have reasons to kind of root for people.
Right.
And that's what makes all sports and games interesting, is when you can actually, you know,
have
really
your favorite.
Yeah, have a favorite and have a reason why you want that person to win.
Yeah.
A couple points from BJ. He was mentioning the September 6th.
Yeah.
It's the November 9, which I think Ty mentioned something about.
Possibly, or at least that idea has been put out there.
The 6-hand.
You know what's
But for ratings, real quick, the time slot, 10 p.m.
It was a bad time
it was a
slot
bad
for
time
sure
slot,
this year,
rating-wise.
and that hurts, which again is weird for a company like ESPN that invests so much time in broadcasting the WSOP. You'd think the crowning portion of that event they would give a better time slot to and more attention to, and there's just a complete utter lack.
And there was I think Kev Math saying there was and I think he's saying this was before, because I wasn't watching, a 2-hour documentary on Marcus Dupree.
Right.
From 8 to 10 that night.
Right. It was an excellent documentary.
So.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, the 30 for 30 on Marcus Dupree. So, all right, well, we'll wrap up the How to Fix WSOP segment for now, at least. Jess, thank you for joining.
Always a pleasure. Have fun, guys.
Okay. From what I understand, the Ustream chat is back up. Is that right, Brian?
It is back. I'm digging Justin TV, though.
Okay, are most of the viewers still on Justin TV?
They're still on Justin. I'm on both.
Who is Justin? Why does he have a TV site?
Who's this Justin?
On the web. I'm still laughing that I said lady earlier. I said lady when we were talking about making the final table. I think that's because of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, we need a lady.
It would be huge, though, because they would be on The View the next day.
Yeah, Ellen.
Right.
Ellen, Oprah.
The Talk.
The Talk.
The new one, The Talk. Yeah.
Which, and I think we had talked about it, you know, if the Harrah's and WSOP was serious about getting more, or having a woman make the final table, you need more women in poker
Well,
playing.
yeah, statistically. If
Yeah, I mean,
more
'cause
women enter, then it's going to increase.
Yeah, right now it's like, what is it, 2-3% of the field?
So low still.
In the main event.
Yeah.
So it's surprising that, there's usually, well, this year it was a poor showing.
Yeah.
But that there's been I think 2 years ago there was quite a few in the final 100. What do you think it would take to get more women into poker?
It's $1 million question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of companies are really trying to push the women's initiative. PokerStars are running. They have the women's PokerStars Women Twitter.
Yeah.
They have Women's League online. They have ladies only events. And I think there's a lot of people trying to push them. They, like you said, the Lips event, that sort of thing, which is trying to encourage more women into the game. And whilst there's sort of a double-edged sword, should we have ladies events or should we not? I mean, ultimately, if it encourages more people to join the game that wouldn't otherwise play, then they can only be a good thing in the long run. So yeah, I mean, I think maybe focusing on more advertising for women is really important, because at the moment the majority of these online adverts I see are put in time slots on a sports program where the majority of the readership are viewers are male.
That's a good point, actually. There's not many ads.
You never
even
see
from
any.
The content of the ad. It's not.
Yeah, the content
specific.
of the ad needs to be changed to make it be like, hey, I mean, for example, in the UK, I know that bingo sites are so incredibly popular, and they aim almost exclusively at women. Online bingo.
Yeah.
So a good campaign could be, well, hey, ladies, you like to play online bingo, so you like to play online, you like to gamble for money, fairly mindlessly online. Well, how about you actually use your brain and you can play for the same money and actually win if you're good? Or you can play for free, and so that sort of thing. Maybe start targeting where the bingo ads go, do that, and then that can encourage more women to start playing online poker. If they start playing online, then say, well, hey, look, we've got these small tournaments specifically aimed for women, why don't you come and play those? And then that gets them into the live setting. And then you're going to start seeing, the good players sort of building up their bankroll, and next thing you know, they'll be in the main events.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the UK not gamble on something?
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's just such a part it's such a part of the culture, though. I mean, I guess it's great for the business.
I actually don't think it's... I suppose we do. I mean, we're famous for gambling in our pool halls and darts and that sort of thing. Yeah, we like to gamble. We like our bingo and that sort of thing.
Right. Do you think so? It's been a big year for you. Probably the best year of your life, I would imagine.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. And you're now on with PokerStars as of, what has it been, like about 2 months now?
Yeah, a month and a half, 2 months.
Month and a half, 2 months. How did that come about? Because you were with another company before that. You had your big win. Nothing for a couple months, and I mean, was it a long time in the making with PokerStars? A few months, or is it just something that kind of popped up and sounded like a good fit?
They were a company I've had in my mind's eye for a long time. To me, they're sort of the pinnacle. If you're an online poker, a poker pro, to be signed with PokerStars to me is the biggest honor you can have. So they were definitely who I've been focusing on. And yeah, I guess obviously winning one of their tournaments, winning the EPT, put me in, made them sit up and notice. And
did you call them up right away and say, I'm free?
Not at all, no.
Rip off the patch.
No, not at all. No, I mean, it wasn't even until the World's, the end of the World Series, in fact, that we even started talking, really. And then, and then it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
How have they told you they plan to use you marketing-wise? You talk about the, bingo being huge in the UK. Are they looking to make you, let's say, the face of PokerStars in the UK or areas of Europe?
So.
Or
yeah, I mean, they're using me. They're going to be sort of pushing me all over. That's the thing I love about PokerStars. They're incredibly international. But at the same time, obviously, UK is where I'm going to have the most influence. After San Remo, there was a lot of mainstream national press interest. So, we want to try and continue to keep that interest alive. They've got some really exciting stuff. They've got the UK IPT, it's a UK Island Poker Tour, which they're really going to be pushing. Hopefully that's going to be televised, so I'm going to be really involved in that. First one's in Ireland in start of December. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really good tour, I think. And we need, because the UK is, past few years, has been lacking a really good poker tour, and now they've got this one. I think it's going to be big.
For our domestic viewers here, stateside, explain some of the difference in the attention that's brought. For example, Tom Durr signs with Full Tilt, it's not going to make USA Today. It's not going to make any. You're not going to be doing talk shows. You get signed by PokerStars, and you're on what is like the American equivalent of the Today Show or Good Morning America, right?
Well, even after EPT.
Yeah, or after EPT. So it's actually more embraced, I would guess, as a game or a sport or something that garners media attention, it seems like, overseas.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. Like, I think because we, particularly in the UK, they haven't necessarily been that saturated with poker stories. That when they do have this sort of, this kind of interest, this story, particularly with a woman, they loved it. Like, after EPT, I wasn't expecting anything from it, and all of a sudden my phone was ringing off the hook just by journalists that somehow got, media requests, like The Sun, the Daily Mirror, the Telegraph, all wanting to do interviews and do photo shoots. And I'm like, well, I've just won a tournament, but I was not expecting this. And I mean, the fact that sort of signing with PokerStars garnered enough attention for again, The Sun to pick up on it, or to go on BBC Breakfast, was on there with Boris Becker talking about poker. I mean, it was insane to millions of people who would never watch it. So yeah, I love the fact that the UK media are very interested in poker.
Yeah.
As a woman, though, I mean, because UK media love the glam models, the Keeley Hazels, and so on. Do they expect you to, like you said, The Sun? I mean, they have the Page 3 girls, and do they expect you to do the photo shoots that are all?
No, I haven't been asked to do any topless shoots. No, none of that. I mean, they definitely want I think they would like to go that route and do sort of the sexy type photo shoots. And I mean, it's not something that bothers me particularly. I mean, they can be fun if they're done in the right sort of styling. And I definitely wouldn't say no to the right sort of photo opportunity. But at the same time, I mean, I want to try and show that poker is, I want to show the balance that yes, it can be fun and it's sexy, but at the same time, it's a game of the mind and it's about people kicking ass, whether you're male or female. So it's, you've got to find a balance of those things.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, in a way, it's somewhat, as a woman poker player, or as a lady poker player, it's somewhat necessary, isn't it? I mean, like, I can't think of a female poker player that's signed to a site that hasn't played up kind of the sexy side, or at least,
Oh, there are some that haven't.
Who?
Well,
besides Vanessa Selfs.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah.
Kathy Liebert is, probably people would say is one of the best female poker players ever, but she's not signed to a site or. I don't think she's done it. Well, I think if you go to her website, you see some pretty hot photos actually.
Well, I think it's important for anyone. I mean, I've seen many male poker players that are just as guilty. They like to have their nice, they're excited about having a photo shoot done, and they like to make themselves look good. It's the same thing for women. I mean, I rarely would want a situation where they're taking a photo of me where I look horrible. Yeah. Of course I want to have like hair and makeup done well and wear something nice, and so one day I can go, look, this is a nice photo. This is what your grandma used to look like. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You've got to use what you're given as well. I know for a fact, obviously, I wouldn't have got as much attention as I have if I didn't, look like a young girl. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Now, we just checked in at the NAPT Los Angeles, and Jason Mercier now is up to second in chips. You said you had an interesting prop bet with him during the week.
Well, no, I need it. This is
okay.
This could have been very painful. I might have been a very different person right now. So at the end of day 2, Jason had half average. I think he had like 140,000. The average was 280, and there were 83 people left. And or 86, something like that. Mm-hmm. And he offered 40-1 that he could win it outright. So he had half average and there were 83 left. And I was like, well, this is an amazing, it's a great price for me. So close, I nearly took 1,000 on it. And then something in my head was like, but hang on, it's Jason Mercier. And he's just so, if anyone could somehow pull it out of the hat, it would be him. And Sorel Mitzi nearly took it as well. And then we both were just like, actually, no, you know what? I can't deal with the sort of the negative sweat.
Right.
And I mean, now, he's doubled up and now he's third in chips with 11 to go. Can you imagine how sick I'll be feeling thinking about to do 40K?
Yeah, it's disgusting. He's had such a good, it's not even like he's on a heater anymore. This has been going on for years.
It's one hell of a heater if it is.
Right. I mean, he's just good.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player.
what's setting him apart than some of the other? Because every tournament you got 23-year-old online pro does well, might run good for a couple months, and you never hear from him again, or you might not hear from him again for 2 years. It's been going on and on for Jason.
Years, yeah.
What sets him apart? What makes him such a better player? It seems like than all the other young guys.
I think. Well, I mean, Jason, like you said, he's an incredible player, one of the best players I know. But the other thing with Jason, I don't want to sound the wrong way, but he has a hell of a lot of self-belief, which I think helps him. He has this confidence. He goes with his instincts. Yes, obviously he runs well when it counts, but at the same time, I mean, he has to get himself in these situations, and he always goes with his instincts. And I think because he has this self-belief, he trusts himself, and they're usually right. So I think that's a really big thing. I see a lot of people who might be technically great players, but because either they've had their fingers burnt, or they're just running bad, or for whatever reason they have a little bit of self-doubt, then they won't quite make that move that's necessary. Whereas he has such conviction and belief that he's going to win, that he just does.
And he seems pretty focused too. He doesn't seem like, I mean, there's a lot of distractions out there on the tour, and we've seen a lot of young guys and not so young guys get distracted by things outside of poker. And but I mean, he seems pretty focused, right?
Yeah, he is actually. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I heard someone calling him a stoner. I'm like, he's the least likely person I think to ever be a stoner. He's always. He's just really laid back and chilled.
So Lane Flack hasn't gotten a hold of him yet, right?
No comment about Lane, but no, I don't think so. No, he's rarely, like, when he's in a tournament, he's never out partying or anything like that. You see a lot of these players will sort of go out partying on their day off. Yeah. Even on his day off, he doesn't, and he's
kind of approaching it more like a career.
Like a career in a sport, like like a professional sports person would.
That's funny. It's not something that you would think of when you
baggy sweatpants.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, just judging from, and it's unfair just because of the appearance and how he carries himself. Yeah. But to the point, like stoner-wise, that's kind of when you look at him, you're like, okay, but it seems like based on what you're saying, he really does approach this like this is my career. I'm taking it seriously.
He does. I mean,
this
is how I make my living and.
The number of times when everyone's been going out that we've all busted, and we're like, oh, come on, you've got a day off, come on, just come out. And he won't. He's like, no, I just want to chill. And I really respect that. Once you're in the zone, he's in the zone. And I think it's something a lot of people could learn from.
Yeah.
We actually have a question that came up. If you were in a room full of people wanting to become poker pros, what would you say to them?
Room full of people wanting to become poker pros. Be prepared for a very rough ride.
Yeah.
Don't expect a miracle. Be disciplined, but persevere.
Yeah. It's an interesting question too in light of PokerStars Pro, Jonathan DeHamel, who told a group of people, "Hey, don't do what I do," and this is mostly a lot of luck's involved.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes luck is really trumping skill a lot more, which is what he told. It was like, what, a group of kids or something in Canada?
I think it was I don't know if it was directed towards kids, but it was during an interview. And
Is he trying to be like the first lady of poker? With a comment like that?
Just trying to encourage all the kids to not drop out of university. No, I think that's good. I mean, because I can imagine a lot of these kids will see these 22-year-old guys who are like, oh, well, I was in my last year of uni, but then I started winning a few 100,000 online, so I just stopped. Just, for God's sake, just finish your degree. Just get that as a backup. And I mean, I'm so glad that I did that. I didn't discover poker till after I'd graduated. Right. But even if I had, I'd like to think I'd have the sense to at least complete my degree and just have that under your belt.
Yeah. Or like what Vanessa Salps is doing, where
she's still in law school.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's gonna get her law degree, and oh, by the way, I'm winning $1 million a year playing poker.
Just doing this, yeah. And I mean, I was saying, like, wow, you're 26 or 25 and you're still in university, and she's like, I know, but I'm gonna get it done. I want to be a qualified lawyer.
Did you do anything with your degree?
I did actually have a 9-to-5 job for about 18 months after graduating it was actually online marketing, but they wanted maths or physicists because it was just a lot of number crunching and that sort of thing. So technically that's using it, but no, not in the classical sense. Right. I didn't really do anything with physics, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then you went on the reality show?
Yeah, just straight after that.
Okay.
That's when it all started.
Yeah. And then, I forget, were you doing stuff with Gut Shot back in the day?
Yeah. That's my first ever taste of.
Is that where the Ron Jeremy interview came from?
Yeah.
2006 World Series. They wanted to take someone out, a presenter out to do interviews and so on. And they kind of wanted them to be like candid camera type interviews. I remember them pushing me to sort of insult the pros and so on. I'm like, I don't know these people. Yeah. I'm a 21-year-old girl, they're going to be like, who is this stupid girl insulting us? I'm not going to do that. And like one of them, I remember there was this one that I did with Jeff Madsen, who obviously just won Player of the Year.
Right. Yeah.
And they were like, oh, they said, oh, it's your night off. Go have a drink and have fun. Because I mean, I've been working for them every single night, and I was like in Vegas. I was like, okay, so I had a drink or two, and then they were like, oh, actually, there's Jeff Madsen. Go and interview him. It'd be really funny. You do a drunken one with him, and he was clearly drunk as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So sort of got pressured into doing this stupid drunken interview. I mean, which is quite funny, and I think it's on 2+2 or whatever. But
was it at the Sapphire that you did that?
no,
I feel like
it
the
was
first
at one
time I
of the
met you was
parties.
at the Sapphire for some reason.
that was at a bluff party.
Bluff
wasn't
party,
it?
yeah.
I think that was a year later.
Okay.
Is that the Mel Judah year?
Yeah.
Mel Judah. Yeah?
No.
What?
No comment.
What?
Now I want to hear this.
Yeah, no.
What's a Mel Judy?
Just
Long story.
yeah.
All right, well, tell me afterwards.
It was that.
No, he was
Sapphire.
actually. It was a pretty quick story, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
a lap
it was-
dance involving the
that's
aforementioned Mel Judah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people in the chat room were talking about Soy winning his F-Tops event he just hosted online,
All right.
by the way.
Oh, there.
Good for Soy.
16 minutes. way to go, Soy. Okay.
Real quick though, what happened to the Gut Shot Club?
Well,
We like those
the
guys.
live
Yeah.
club got shut down for legal reasons,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
there was like a big court
Yeah,
case
the UK
and-
government decided to make a sort of an example out of them, which I think was very unfair.
Yeah.
But they're now, there's an online site, and then there's some other live poker sites which may or may not have been involved with the last one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Are you familiar with our poker metaphors?
No.
Okay, so what we do, it's if we can pull up the graphic, poker metaphors signifying that you have to act quickly around. What we do is we have a list of questions. They're fill in the blank.
Okay.
Answer as many as you can in a minute. And the clubhouse leader this year, I think, is Ali Najad. It was Sam Levine. No, it's
So I just have to fill in the blank.
yeah. So you're just gonna fill in the blank at the end of the sentence.
It's exactly 60 seconds.
It's
No
ex-
more,
yeah.
no less.
Okay.
I'll have to bring up the laptop here to go through this.
You want a
But
calculator?
Probably need it. Let's be honest.
actually, I guess a lot of these aren't fill in the blanks, but we'll improvise.
Are we going?
Yeah, you tell me when you're ready.
All right, ready, go.
The one British stereotype that is absolutely true is
Knits.
The correct answer is all of them.
Oh, okay.
the first Beatles album I plan to download on iTunes because they're available as of today is
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
the one thing Americans do way better than the Brits is
Eat.
people from Scotland are
Drunk.
people from Wales are
With sheep.
my favorite non-heavy metal guilty pleasure song right now is
Oh, I love me a bit of Rihanna.
no. favorite poker pro to follow on Twitter is
Alan Barry.
I don't think I've seen an Alan Barry. Poker player who creeps me out the most is
Oh, I don't know his name, but there was some really weird guy who came up to me at the bike the other day.
Miserable fuck. We know who it is.
yeah, we know it is. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his nickname's Miserable Fuck. Hottest female poker player is
Oh, there's a lot. I'd say Erica.
all right.
There's a lot of them, though. There's a lot of close ones.
This isn't really a fill in the blank, but we're just going to ask this anyway. Who would you rather shag, Prince William or Harry?
Harry.
Keely Hazel or Vicky Blows?
Vicky Blows.
Carl Sagan or Stephen Hawking?
Stephen Hawking.
All right. We'll wrap with that.
I think she's clearly the leader now.
Yeah.
You think she's the new clubhouse leader?
Clearly.
So Planet Ali Najad with a point.
I don't understand how you win.
Well, it's a very subjective point total. You got 1,872 points.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's Ali.
Plus, you got the bonus question right.
Yeah, you got the bonus
Oh, okay.
question.
It's a hidden bonus question.
Yeah,
but-
answering the Vicky Blows and
Yeah.
the Stephen Hawking.
I know someone who's been with Vicky Blows.
Really?
One of my best friends.
Huh?
I
We
can't say his
have
name.
4 minutes left in the show, so let's talk
Let's
about
elaborate about Vicky Blows. I've never actually met her. But,
Really?
yeah,
You-
I've heard her on the phone.
I wasn't listening. You picked her over Keely
Yeah.
Hazel?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't like the big
Yeah.
saggy boobs look. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Have you met Keely?
No.
Okay.
Have you?
No, we were.
I think
In my head.
no, but if it came down to it, we'd pick Vicky Blows over.
Yeah, and we were
Kill.
trying to get Vicky over here to play in the main event.
Yeah.
I think we even talked to you about
Yeah,
it.
you did, yeah.
But I also
Don't
get
know if
the
poker would be her
feeling she
forte,
wouldn't do
obviously.
too well either
No.
at something like that.
I don't know. I can only go what my friend said, but
Right. All right.
he was very respectful.
Okay.
He's a good friend.
Fair enough. We'll wrap with that. Vicky Blows sex stories on This Week in Poker. We'll be off next week, but back the following with we have somebody new booked already, don't we, Brian?
Jeff Matson will be in the studio
Yay!
with us.
Wait, we're
Jeff
coming
Madsen.
back next week?
No, the week
No,
after.
Oh, the week
after.
after. I just don't listen, do I?
And do you want to take us to the bridge, take us to the close?
The close. Thank you, Liv.
Thank you.
Chops.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers. And if you could do us a huge favor and tweet thank you at @poker_, V as in Victor, T as in Tom, for This Week in Poker, and check out pokervt.com/sign-up and use the promo code TWIP10 and check out the mustache. Men's Health Awareness. Men's Health Awareness. Check out Movember.com. Learn more. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Is the camera off me?
No, it's on me.